Max Kellerman, the white privileged man that stands out at ESPN. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about how this could be the end of Max Kellerman at ESPN with the shows KJM and This Just In being canceled. There are signs that Max Kellerman will inevitably be laid off from ESPN. Max Kellerman has continued his fall from relevancy as he was once hosting a show where he was the co-host of ESPN's First Take with Stephen A. Smith. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. Is Max Kellerman done at ESPN? And I have to say absolutely to that. If Max Kellerman's shows are being canceled, combined with the fact that Max Kellerman is getting paid $5 million a year, of course Max Kellerman is going to be done at ESPN. Did you not see the people that ESPN is attempting to bring in? They already brought in Pat McAfee. They might even bring in Shannon Sharp. But Max Kellerman, he seems to be the odd man out. Because what is the theme at woke ESPN? The white man has to go first. Oh, the so-called privileged white man. He's got to get out of here first. Whenever we do roster cuts for ESPN, the white man has always got to play off as the victim. Unless if you're someone like Adrian Wojnarowski, where you can provide value that other people can't bring in, you're going to be out at ESPN. Because ESPN is the world's most diverse network out of all the channels that you see on TV screen. That's why ESPN's been going woke, because they care more about diversity, more so than they care about on-air talent. But in all seriousness though, Max Kellerman, man, I've never been impressed with him. Max Kellerman is boring, he's not interesting, and he's not relatable. When you talk about Max Kellerman, man, Max Kellerman makes you fall asleep. When you listen to Max Kellerman, he makes you want to change the channel because it's like, oh my goodness, can this man get to his point? He's not funny, he's not interesting, he's just very bland. He's like eating chicken without sauce. That's what's it like. When you listen to Max Kellerman, it's like when you eat with chicken and you don't put any sauce in it and it just tastes like regular bland chicken. And I like chicken a lot, don't get me wrong. Chicken is one of my favorite foods, but I don't like chicken with no sauce on it, because chicken with no sauce on it, it's just bland. It's just boring. And that's exactly what Max Kellerman is. You want to know why Max Kellerman failed without Stephen A. Smith? It's because of the fact that Max Kellerman is not a draw. What is the identity of Max Kellerman at ESPN? Is he this dramatic, loudmouth guy? No. Is he this comedic guy where everybody's busting up laughing every other line when he's speaking? No. Is Max Kellerman super intelligent? Well, he tries to be, but he's not really super intelligent. No, he just looks like the freaking cousin of Mike Greenberg, except Mike Greenberg actually got some talent. Max Kellerman, on the other hand, looks like a Dollar General version of him. That's how bad Max Kellerman was as a sports talker at ESPN. Max Kellerman was just simply very boring to listen to. You want to know why KJM was not a draw? When you got Keyshawn Johnson, who can barely speak English very good, when you got Jay Williams, who seems like he doesn't know what the hell he's been talking about most of the time, and then you got Max Kellerman being the boring man that he is and trying to be Mike Greenberg Jr. with his appearance, of course no one is going to go ahead and tune in to watch. And This Just In, a meaningless show in the afternoon at ESPN, which no one absolutely cares about. Look, people in the audience already don't care to watch ESPN in general outside of watching sporting events. You want to know why no one cares about watching ESPN these days? Because watching ESPN these days is like watching CNN. Who wants to watch CNN? Because I know I don't want to watch CNN. CNN is a piece of trash in terms of listening to a network source whatsoever. I don't care if you're woke, I don't care if you're liberal, I don't care if you're conservative. Listening to CNN is like eating a piece of trash, and that's what listening to ESPN is like more often than not. Now, are the sporting events at ESPN good? Sometimes they are good, but other times they just flat out suck, particularly when they bring on woke people that no one cares about whatsoever, and when you see diversity hires being made time after time again. And when you talk about ESPN, there's no wonder why they've gone broke in recent years. There's no wonder why they've lost so much revenue. Ever since they partner up with Disney, ESPN has been performing at a disastrous level by their standards. ESPN could cease to exist by 2030. When you talk about ESPN, man, ESPN has turned into woke politics network. ESPN used to be a network about sports and sports commentary. As a kid, I loved ESPN until about 2013 when when they started going woke. And ever since they went woke around that time, it's gotten less and less tolerable. Now, sometimes I might tune in the First Take. I might come in, watch Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith, although he is woke, I do understand he's doing it for an act, and he's doing it so he can get the money from ESPN, and that he's not actually woke. But for the most part, I can't watch ESPN. I can't stand those woke guys talking, and they sound like they don't know anything. Now, anyways, when I talk about Max Kellerman, man, he is woke and worse, a beta male. When you talk about Max Kellerman, he's too nice of a guy. Max Kellerman tries to be the nicest man on earth, and that's fine. Being a nice man is sometimes good. Sometimes being a nice man can make relationships work effectively. But when you are in the sports business, being nice doesn't cut it. Sometimes you have to be cutthroat about how you get the job done, and Max Kellerman failed to do that. And Stephen A. Smith was right. Stephen A. Smith felt like Max Kellerman and him did not work well together. You want to know why? Because you got one guy who's a successful African-American man going at it, producing excellent shows day after day after day on First Take. And I'm not necessarily saying it's successful in my opinion, but ask the ratings at ESPN, because the ratings have indicated that Stephen A. Smith has been a success on First Take. As for Max Kellerman, on the other hand, when has Max Kellerman ever been a star on any other show, man? First Take was where Max Kellerman made his bones in being relevant. And ever since he left First Take, Max Kellerman has become irrelevant. Clay Travis, a guy that works at Outkick, the owner of it, in fact of it, is far more relevant than Max Kellerman, even though Clay Travis never worked at ESPN. Max Kellerman, with all the exposure that he gets, you would think that he would be a superstar, particularly with his looks as well, because he tries to comb his hair nicely, tries to put on a clean face, and tries to look like the cousin of Mike Greenberg. But Max Kellerman has no on-air talent whatsoever. Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, has a lot of talent. He has an identity. He knows how to be a loudmouth. He knows how to be dramatic, and he knows how to make people tune into his show. Max Kellerman, on the other hand, is a, hey guys, I'm Max Kellerman, and I would like to tell you guys how Tom Brady is going to fall off a cliff. That's how Max Kellerman talks. And Max Kellerman is not even smart on the other hand too, because Max Kellerman has a lot of horrible takes, starting with the Tom Brady cliff, and then he said something like Andre Iguodala is better than Steph Curry in the clutch. I'm like, what? I mean, Andre Iguodala, don't get me wrong, he's a really good player. I like Andre Iguodala, but he is not more clutch than Steph Curry. He was like, on the fate of the universe, I would rather have Andre Iguodala take the last shot than Steph Curry. I'm like, is this man on drugs? And that's why people don't like Max Kellerman, because if you're going to be bland and boring, you better at least be smart. But Max Kellerman is not even smart. He just spews out a bunch of stupid takes, but he's not even interesting to listen to. And the other thing is too, he's not African American either. So that means ESPN already doesn't like him. So when ESPN is already having to do budget cuts because they have to save $30 million, of course Max Kellerman is going to be at the front of the line in terms of getting fired, because how many white men do you see get the benefit of the doubt at ESPN? Not very many. And also, Max Kellerman's failed show of KJM, I want to also comment about this as well. This means that this is going to be ESPN's fourth show in 6 years. I remember as a kid, they had the morning slot show. It was called Mike and Mike, and I never found them particularly interesting whatsoever, but at least they were successful at what they did for 17 years. And ever since those guys left, now that time slot has become no longer interesting whatsoever. They keep changing the cast all the time because the stars that they are bringing in do not draw in ratings whatsoever. They are just very boring to listen to. Those people, they make you fall asleep. And Max Kellerman, man, I don't know what's going to be next for him, but I don't really care what happens to Max Kellerman, because Max Kellerman has never been a star at any place ever. Around the Horn, First Take, KJM, This Just In, I don't really care. Max Kellerman has never been a draw whatsoever, and he's not going to be a draw in the future. Max Kellerman is 49 years old, and Max Kellerman, for the most part, has been nothing but an embarrassing failure. The only time where he even showed any semblance of success was on ESPN's First Take with Stephen A. Smith. Well, honestly, that was Stephen A. Smith carrying Max Kellerman, not Max Kellerman contributing his part whatsoever. So when you talk about Max Kellerman, man, I'm expecting him to be laid off by ESPN, because they're not going to pay him $5 million to just sit at home. ESPN knows that they have other on-air talent that they have to go ahead and try out, and they have other people to focus on. And Max Kellerman, man, I'm telling you, you're white, that means they're going to kick you out, because ESPN does not favor the white man whatsoever. You want to go to a place where white men are going to be favored? Go to Fox News. That's just the reality of the situation. But of course, Max Kellerman is not going to go to Fox News, because Max Kellerman is woke, and he burned that bridge with Fox News a long time ago with his woke takes that he provides year in and year out. When you talk about Max Kellerman, he is an embarrassing failure with the opportunities that he has been given, and Max Kellerman is boring. He's not interesting. So that is why Max Kellerman is definitely done at ESPN for sure. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below if you guys guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin-Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin-Tran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin-Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.